Hey everyone. So, when you're talking about your future plans in English, do you ever get tripped up between using will or going to? I mean, they seem pretty much the same, right? Well, it turns out choosing the right one can totally change what you're trying to say. So, today, we're going to crack this code once and for all and get this all cleared up. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we'll kick things off with a super common question. Then, we'll look at the big difference between plans you've already made and stuff you decide on the spot. After that, it's the main event, will versus going to, side by side. And we'll wrap up by talking about why this is way more than just a boring grammar rule. Ready? Let's do this. Okay, first up, how do we even talk about future plans? Let's start with a really simple, everyday situation. I bet we've all been here before. So picture this. A friend comes up to you and asks, "What are you going to do this weekend?" Seems like a totally straightforward question, doesn't it? But believe it or not, how you answer that question shows a really important, kind of subtle difference in how we talk about the future in English. Okay, so you could say, "I'm going to play hockey," or you could say, "I'll play hockey." Both answers are about the future, right? But they actually mean slightly different things. So, what's the real difference? And more importantly, when do you use which one? Let's dig in. And that brings us right to our next section, pre-decided plans. You know, the stuff you've already thought about. Let's take a look at how you talk about that kind of future. So the magic words here are be going to. You pull this one out when you're talking about plans you made before you even started talking. This isn't a spur of the moment thing. You've already put some thought into it. Okay, check out this conversation between Andy and Jenny. Andy asks what she's going to do, and she says she's going to stay home. Then he says he's going to play hockey in a tournament. See, both of their plans were already set in stone before they started talking. Her plan is to stay home, his plan is the hockey tournament. That's why they both use going to. And this works for all kinds of plans, big or small. She's going to see a play, they're going to go shopping, he's going to go backpacking. And hey, I am going to read a novel tonight. The point is, if you decided it beforehand, be going to is your go-to phrase. All right, so that's one side of the coin. But what about the flip side? What happens when you haven't planned something, for those moments when life just kind of happens? Well, that's where will comes into play. We use will for decisions we make right at the moment we're speaking. Think of it as your go-to for offers, promises, and those spontaneous split-second decisions. It's the grammar for life's unscripted moments. Here's a super simple, perfect example. The phone starts ringing out of nowhere. Julie didn't know it was going to ring, right? She decides right then and there to answer it. So what does she say? "I'll get it." It's a spontaneous decision made in the moment. Okay, time for the main event. Let's put will and going to right next to each other and really make the difference totally clear. This awesome chart here gives us a really clean, direct comparison. It's going to help us see exactly when you should use will and when you should use be going to. Okay, let's break this down. On one side, you've got will. Use that for decisions you make right on the spot. It's also for predictions that are just based on your opinion. Now, on the other side, you've got be going to. That's for plans you made ahead of time and for predictions that are based on something you can actually see or know right now. It's the difference between saying, "I think they'll win," and "Look at the score, they're going to win." Okay, let's try a quick scenario to see if this is sinking in. Julie says, "There's no milk." Now, what does John say? Think about it. His answer is going to be totally different depending on whether this is new information or not. And here we go. This illustrates it perfectly. If he just found out there's no milk, it's a surprise, right? So he makes a new spontaneous decision. Really, in that case, "I'll go and get some." But if he already knew, he's just talking about a plan he already had. "I know, I'm going to go and get some when this TV program finishes." See? The grammar he chooses tells us everything about whether it was a plan or a spontaneous choice. So that brings us to our last point. You might be thinking, okay, I get it, but why does this really matter? Is this just some picky grammar rule for a test? Nope, not at all. This is actually about being a much better communicator. When you choose between will and going to, you're sending a signal to the person you're talking to. You're telling them about your intentions, how certain you are, and the whole context of the situation. It's what makes you sound clear, precise, and way more natural. So, to wrap this all up, I've got a question for you. What are you going to do after watching this? Or will you just decide in a moment? Think about it. I hope this little explainer helps you talk about the future with a whole lot more confidence.